Hi, starting out solitary, Pandora here. I do apologise for the late upload of this video. I had to come on as a sub at short notice and I've had a lot going on. I've had a very busy week. It's been a good week, but a busy week. But our topic for this week is initiation, and I wanted to talk to you about initiation as a solitary and what my experiences have been and some of my thoughts and that kind of thing. So I've been through a few self-initiations and initiations into online groups, and some people may argue that as a solitary you cannot self-initiate. Initiation by definition is something that happens from another person initiating you. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think that if you look at the meaning of the word initiation, it just means to begin. So it's something that you do to start yourself off on your path, or to go in the direction that you wish to, or begin to work with a deity, or whatever the case may be. And so that ritual that you do to mark that beginning is an initiation. So from what I can recall, I never really initiated myself as a witch as a young person. When I first started self-identifying and practicing as a witch, I really just got straight into practicing. I never did an initiation. I just sort of, started practicing, and I self-identified as a witch quite early on because it just felt right and it resonated for me, and I was taking my study and practice seriously, so I was comfortable doing that, even though I was quite young and quite inexperienced, I guess you could say. And I think that's a personal thing. It's up to the individual. And so further on down the track, I joined an online group called the Idgaf Tradition, and that was started by some friends of mine, some online friends of mine who are based in Canada. And so I went through a process of study and regular practice and fulfilling the requirements of initiation for this tradition, and then they gave me a ritual outline of what to do in order to initiate myself. And that was an absolutely fantastic experience. Like, it was the middle of summer, but I put a robe on anyway because it felt right to do that. And there was this thing where I used a cord and I made a line on the ground, and then I stepped over that line, and it was sort of like I'd stepped over the line into initiation. And I just remember the feeling that I had during that initiation, and knowing all the work that I'd put in and everything that I'd done up to that point before that initiation. And I just had such a feeling of connection that I hadn't had for a really long time in my practice. And like, I sort of just felt the presence of my guides and the gods I was working with and all of that. I just felt really in flow, and it was absolutely a beautiful experience and completely invaluable to me. Later on, I also did an initiation just recently, actually, for Avalon's Patreon coven, and I don't want to talk too much about that because it was paid content that I paid for and that other people have paid for and that Avalon is charging for. So out of respect for her and her other patrons, I don't want to go into too much detail. However, that was a phenomenal experience as well, and there were times during that process that were really difficult and really tough, but at the end, when I got through it and I'd done this ritual, and the ritual itself and the path working that Avalon led us through was really, really phenomenal and just absolutely beautiful. And like, one thing she said is that if you're not sure about why I'm making these requirements of you and why I'm requesting these things, you'll understand after initiation. And it did. It made perfect sense. Again, I had that real feeling of connection and being in flow, and just so hard to even put into words. If you've been through an initiation yourself of any kind, then you probably know a little bit of what I'm talking about. It is a very difficult thing to put into words. And another thing I wanted to mention is that initiation is not always in the form of a physical ritual or another person initiating you or you initiating yourself. Sometimes it's life itself that's the initiator, and this truth really hit home for me when I read the book Initiation by Lydie Angeles. And Lydie Angeles is a witch author. She's written Witchcraft Theory and Practice and a few other books. And Initiation was her memoir, and I read it, and there were parts of the book where she talked about her actual initiations, and then there were other experiences that she went through in life that were not tied to a formal initiation, but where initiation occurred, and she deepened her practice, her spirituality, her understanding, just through life experiences. And it's a really powerful book. I don't have it anymore because I read it and I chose to pass it on to Willow WildMoon in one of our swaps that we did. And I don't regret it. I don't regret passing on the book because, you know, I read it and I feel that I got everything that I needed to out of it. And to be honest, it would probably just sit on my shelf and not get ready to get a whole lot. So, but yes, I do highly recommend that book. And I'm not sure what else to say. If you are thinking about going through an initiation, then by all means, you can self-initiate as a solitary, but I would get some guidance from somebody who is experienced in guiding someone through initiation, just so that you know, just so you've got some tips and pointers and starting jumping off points, and so that you know what you're doing a little bit more. So yeah, that's about all I've got to say, I think. So thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time here at Starting Out Solitary.